Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So if you are new to PowerApps, you are probably excited to start building the apps quickly. But there are some common traps that beginners fall into. So in today's video, I am breaking down the top 10 mistakes the beginner make in the PowerApps and how you can avoid them. So whether you are building your first app or trying to scale up for your organization, these tips will save your time, frustration and help you look like a professional. So let's dive right in and stop making these Power Apps mistakes. So first mistakes can be the ignoring the delegation. So delegation is one of the most misunderstood concept in the Power App. When you write a formula like filter and you are putting the SharePoint list, suppose list name and status equal to open, then Power Apps try to push that query to the data source. If the function or operator is not delegable, the Power Apps retrieves only the first 500 to 2000 records and filter them locally. So basically this lead to incomplete data and the poor performance. And beginners will often don't realize that app is silently ignoring the thousands of records, means it's showing the incomplete count of records. So always check the delegation warnings and use the delegable functions only like filter, sort and the search that basically support the multiple connectors. Second mistakes can be overusing the collection. So collections are nothing but a temporary table that are stored into the memory. So while they are useful for the offline scenario or the caching, the beginners often use them as a primary data source. This can cause two type of problems. First one is the collection don't auto sync with the backend. So the changes whatever user are making that may be lost and they can consume the memory and slow down the app. So instead of using that one, use the collection that sparingly and rely on different query to the Dataverse, SharePoint or the SQL for the live data. Collection should be used for the temporary storage, not as a substitute for the proper data modeling. Next mistake we can do like hard coding the sensitive value. So hard coding values like email address, API keys or the URLs directly into the formula is not a good practice. It is a very risky habit because it makes your app brittle and hard to maintain. If you move the app to another environment, those values may break because for the different environment we have the different values. And the worst can be the hard-coded secrets can expose the sensitive data to unauthorized users. Unauthorized users can use those data. That is risk for our environment. So always use the environment variables and the configurable tables to store such value securely, and it will ensure the portability, security and the easier updates across the dev environment, test environment and the production environment. Next one is the ignoring responsive design. So many beginners basically what do, they design the apps for a single screen size, usually the desktop, but PowerApps runs on the phone, tablet and the browser. So without responsive designs, control may overlap, disappear or become unusable on the smaller screen. So we should use the container controls, flexible layouts and the formulas like app.width to adopt the UI elements. And we should test our app on the multiple devices before publishing it for the user. So a responsive app basically improves the accessibility and the user satisfaction. Next mistake can be misusing the patch versus submit form. So submit form is easy to use but limited to form controls, whereas patch offers more flexibility. It allows you to update a specific fields, handle the multiple records, and work outside form context. So beginners often use the submit form even when the patch is more appropriate function. And because of this, it lead to inefficient or the broken logic. So we should learn both the methods, use them based on the scenario. So for example, if we are using patch when updating a record that is based on the gallery selection or when working with the multiple data source. Next mistake can be not handling the error. So without error handling, apps can fail silently or show confusing messages. So beginners often skip this step and they assume that everything will work. So for this we should use the if error method to catch the issue like failed data submission or the missing records, which display the user friendly message to the users. And you can also log the errors to the SharePoint list or the Dataverse table for the debugging perspective. So there should be proper error handling that improve the reliability and it also build the user trust. Next mistake can be overloading on start. So on start property basically runs when the app loads. Generally, what happens? Beginners put all their data loading logic on the onStart method, which slow down the application and it frustrates the users. So instead of loading the complete thing on the onStart, only the essential data should be loaded there, and there should be differ the non-critical data that are using concurrent or the screen level logic. So for example, load drop-down values when the user navigates to a form. A lean on start improves the performance and the user experience. Next mistake can be ignoring the security rules. So assuming all users have the same access is a dangerous mistake. So beginners often forget to implement the role-based visibility or the data access. They expose the sensitive information to or allow the unauthorized access. So we should use the Dataverse security role or create a user role table to control the access. And that should be combined for the conditional visibility to hide the controls based on the user roles. So always we should follow the principle of least privilege. Forgetting governance. PowerApps is easy to use, but without governance, it leads to shadow IT. So beginners may build the apps that are using the risky connectors or store data in insecure location. So organizations should enforce that data loss prevention policy (DLP) policy should be implemented that should follow the naming conventions and the environment strategy. Developers should follow these guidelines to ensure the compliance and the scalability. So governance is not just for the admin, even it play the important role in the app. Last one is the skipping documentation. So documentation is often overlooked, especially by the beginners. But without it maintaining or updating, the apps become a nightmare. So we should use the comments in the formula and we should explain the logic in the code. Okay. So whatever we are doing, we should maintain the simple readme, the app guide to describe the purpose, data source and the key formula. This will help the other developers to understand the app quickly. So good documentation is a sign of good professional development. So That's our list of top 10 mistakes beginners make in the Power App. So if you avoid these pitfalls, your apps will be faster, more secure and much easier to maintain. Which of these mistakes have you run into before? So drop your experience in the comments. I would love to hear them. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more Power Apps tutorials, and share this with anyone who is just starting their Power Apps journey. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.